Ever since Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were announced, everyone has been excited for the possibility of new Pokemon in the game, especially new Alola forms. I think regardless what you thought of Sun and Moon, I think everyone would love a few new Pokemon, Alola forms or not. So I was chilling the other day thinking, how cool would it be if this Pokemon got an Alola form or that Pokemon got an Alola form? So I started doing a little research and I think I found a few Pokemon that are highly likely to have Alola forms in the coming games. Now obviously this is pure speculation as we only have about 20 seconds of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon footage, and at this point we know next to nothing about the games. But when I thought there's been a possibility, I really want to share it with you guys and get your feedback. So with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon we know it's going to have an alternative story. What if this alternative story impacts the habitat around Alola? Like the Rattata's population in Alola was booming until Yungoos was imported as a control measure. In order to avoid these new predators, Rattata's altered its habitats, thus giving us Alola and Rattatas. What if we see similar things like this in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, giving us new Alola forms? Now let's start looking into what potentially could receive an Alola form. Okay, so currently every Pokemon that has an Alolan form is a Generation 1 Pokemon. So I think that limits this search to only Gen 1. We could potentially have any Pokemon get an Alola form, but for the sake of keeping it in line with what Game Freak has already done, we'll stick with this. Next, I noticed that every Pokemon that got an Alolan form didn't evolve into a Pokemon introduced outside of Generation 1. For example, Seadra into Kingdra or Scyther into Caesar. So again, I'm cutting down the list of potential Pokemon down to only those that evolve into Pokemon that were introduced into Generation 1. And lastly, none of the Pokemon that got Alola forms had Mega Evolution, so any Pokemon that had a Mega is cut from this list. So the list is now narrowing down. After this, I thought let's look at the Alola Pokedex and look at every Generation 1 Pokemon that you can find in Sun and Moon, and we have the following: Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, Growlithe, Arcanine, Drowsy and Hypno, Spearow, Fearow, Mankey and Primeape, Psyduck and Golduck, Machop, Machoke and Machamp, Tentacool, Tentacruel, Shelder and Cloyster, Tauros, Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, Clefairy, Clefable, Paras and Parasect, Goldeen, Seaking, Staryu, Starmie, Ditto, Lapras, Dratini, Dragonette and Dragonite. So that leaves a few potential Pokemon to get an Alola form, but I'm also going to remove a few more: Lapras, Tauros and Machamp. This is because they are ride Pokemon. They could easily be replaced, for example Tauros into Buffalan, something else in the Lapras is kind of hard to find something similar to Lapras, or any other fighting type for Machamp, but I feel they play a big part in Sun and Moon, and changing up the ride Pokemon will be a bit of a hassle, so I think remove them from getting Alola forms would be a smart choice. Although I would have really loved an Alola Machamp, because out of the 4 trade evolved Pokemon from Generation 1, 2 got Megas, 1 got an Alolan form, and Machamp got put to work as a ride Pokemon. That's not fair. But with those removed, the list gets even shorter. And I've got to say, out of the ones on the list right now, I would love to see Caterpie, Metapod and Butterfree get an Alolan form, because I've always thought Butterfree deserves like a Mega. Ever since Mega Beedrill, I always thought Butterfree would be a great, like maybe Bug Psychic or Bug Fairy type Pokemon. Gotta love Butterfree, man. But anyway, I believe any one of these could get an Alolan form, but we can narrow it down a little bit more. So next part could be reaching a little, so grab your tinfoil hats. So I thought, can you link some of the Alolan Pokemon to the Pokemon left on this list? And I potentially found a small link. And again, this is reaching, so make sure your tinfoil hats are securely tightened. So this is where I think it gets interesting. Alolan Sandshrew and Sandslash, Alolan Vulpix and Ninetales were exclusive to Leaf Green, along with our Staryu and Starmie on the list. And also from the list, Psyduck, Golduck, Growlithe and Arcanine, and Shelder and Cloyster were exclusive to Fire Red. Now out of all the Pokemon that didn't have an evolution outside of Generation 1 that were exclusive to Leaf Green, 2 of them got an Alolan form. So I believe 2 of the 3 Pokemon that appear in Pokemon Sun and Moon that fit the criteria and were exclusive to Fire Red, 2 of the 3 evolution lines will get an Alolan form. So that leaves Psyduck and Golduck, Growlithe and Arcanine, Shelder and Cloyster. And I hope to Arceus that Arcanine gets one. It was so sad when it didn't. And if I had to choose out of these 3 evolutions what would get Alola forms, 100% Growlithe and Arcanine needs to get one. And as a toss up between Psyduck, Golduck and Shelder and Cloyster, I would more go towards Shelder and Cloyster, because we already have a Ice type in Sandshrew, Sandslash, Vulpix and Ninetales. So that's what I'm going to go with. Arcanine, Growlithe, Shelder and Cloyster will get Alolan forms in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So there you have it. Let me know what you think of this theory. Do you think it's possible this could be true or not? Let me know what Pokemon you really want to see get an Alolan form in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.